welcome to the next episode of 6 Feet Together. Today I am joined by Dr. Jeffrey Phillips. Dr. Phillips, thank you so much for taking the time to be on my show today.
You are welcome.
6 Feet Together is the show where I ask questions to gain perspective and understanding. Let's just jump right into this. Can you take me through middle school all the way to finishing your doctorate?
Yeah, okay, so middle school, I just did school. It was a long time ago, so we just did school. There was no special programs for health sciences, so we did just the core education, and then entered the high school program. Same thing. There was no set or special programs for health sciences, so I did all my core classes. And around 11th grade is when I made the decision to go into university for chiropractic, and I still didn't need to change anything as far as my education because nothing was offered. And then after graduation from high school, let me back up, about a year before I graduated high school, I started doing a dual program with a local junior college. So by the time I graduated high school, I already had some college credits stashed away, and those were all core science, healthcare related classes.
Yeah.
So at that point, it wouldn't matter what health science I went into, they were the core classes. I did that for almost 4 years, in which towards the end of that, I jumped around to various junior colleges to get the classes. I don't know how it is now, but we couldn't get classes back then, so I'd have to go to Riverside Community College and Chaffey College and San Bernardino Valley College. And then I entered another dual program to get my bachelor's in human biology, as well as soon as I got that, the dual program continued to the Doctor of Chiropractic program.
So it was a lot of school.
It was a lot of school.
And how did you... So, I mean, in middle school, I knew what I wanted to do, and it's completely different than what I'm doing now. Did you know in middle school that you wanted to be a chiropractor?
Kinda. So early on, there was a medical show, and there wasn't as many shows on as there are now. So everybody watched the same show. So it's Quincy Adams, MD, and he was a forensic pathologist, and he was cool. So I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. And then sometime in high school, I had some back issues, and my mom would actually press on my back and make it pop. I'm like, this is cool. She's like, well, why don't you think about becoming a chiropractor? I'm like, what do they do? She goes, well, like what I'm doing now, but professionally. So I started looking into that, and then I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And then soon after that, I was involved in an auto accident, and I started some treatment with Dr. James Chile in San Bernardino. And it was great because I'd walk in his office with a headache and walk out without one. And I thought, if all a chiropractor can do is get rid of a headache, I'm sold.
Yeah.
So I continued that program and loved it ever since.
So that kind of it comes over into my next question of what do you do every day? And I think you kind of already answered that, but if you'd like to elaborate more, go for it.
So what I do as a practicing chiropractor, I'd say is probably consistent with most chiropractic offices, other than our model's a little bit different in that we have a group practice and we operate in the entire scope of practice of chiropractic. So we can diagnose all musculoskeletal conditions. We can see a patient who might have something that's non-musculoskeletal, still diagnose that and make referrals. We don't have to have referrals from other physicians for the patient to come see us. And in addition, part of the scope of chiropractic, we can do physiotherapy. So we can use machines, heat, electric stim, ultrasound, stretching machines to treat the body. So our practice, specifically me, that's what we do. So a patient, average day, a patient will come in, and if it's a new patient, we do an assessment, we take history, we do an examination, and find out if their symptoms or what they're coming in for us to seek treatment with is something the chiropractor can help with. And basically we push, pull, align, stretch, yank, whatever it takes to basically get that patient to an alignment or a performance level that's going to get rid of some of their symptoms. Many times patients come in with conditions that we don't treat, and in that case we refer out. So a day would look like that on a new patient. On an existing patient, they've already been assessed. The patient might come in and we do another short assessment. Hey, has anything changed since last time? Are you getting better? Are you getting worse? It's what we're doing, helping it all. And if it is, we keep doing it. And ideally, we want patients to get better as quick as they can. We want to give them recovery tools to do at home so they're not relying on healthcare practitioners to manage their own body. The patient should manage their own body. They're the ones who live with it. They live with it 24 hours a day. So anything we can do to teach the patient to do that on their own is great. Unfortunately, patients should not be adjusting their own spine. So we have a little bit of job security there if our technique actually works. So some chiropractors might see 10 patients a day. Some chiropractors might see 50 patients a day, which makes for a pretty long day. However, the physical nature of chiropractic is not that hard. It's great treating patients. You get lots of affirmation because you would treat the patient and almost immediately they say that's fantastic. So it's instant gratification. The paperwork, like anything else in life, is the non-enjoyable part. The paperwork is horrible. We hate it, but that paperwork exists in almost every location. So,
You covered my next question too. I was going to ask, is it gratifying? And so when you go home, then let me ask the level of gratification. Is your level of gratification of the fact that you get to help somebody pop and feel better?
Yes.
Or do you go home thinking, that you are helping people reach their max potential? Because I know you've helped work on me as a semi-professional athlete, and you made me reach higher than I could have without having an adjustment or having my chiropractor, straighten my spine out. So do you think about the long-term effects that you have on people, or do you just think of the immediate gratification?
No, the long-term effects is definitely something that I contemplate often, I meditate on, and it's definitely something that is considered when we're looking at our models for how we treat, what we're going to do, how long I want to treat. Right now, I start my 29th year in practice next month. So as I look at, hey, what do I want to do the next 12 years? I'm looking at, hey, what can we accomplish with different patients and what goals can we reach for them? So, and that is long-term gratification. It may not stimulate the right things in the brain like chocolate and sugar do, right? So, but you can't get away from the instant gratification no matter how much you try. Sometimes it's like being a rock star. Like the patients have been other places and can't get help with their particular condition because maybe they were seeing practitioners that that are treating or aren't able to treat what we can treat. So the patient comes in and gets this great result. So if I see 30 or 40 patients in a day, it's very common to go home at the end of that shift and have 10 or 15 of them just give all kinds of affirmation, which is, it's hard not to appreciate that and go, oh my gosh, I did something right then and I got that instant gratification. They got instant results and then hope. A lot of times it's just hope, showing them what they can do. And so that's just super fulfilling. And even if I'd like to say, oh, well, I really want to focus on the long term, it's hard to get away from, because if you step on that stage and start playing the guitar and it's like, you're right. And then having been practiced that long, twice a week I'm carrying bags home of just gifts. Just gifts, whether it's fruit, vegetables, or something someone made me or something somebody purchased me because they want to show their gratitude. I'm like, no, you show your gratitude by just showing up and following your commitment to doing your exercises and paying your copay and doing your thing. Like, no, I want to do something more. So I think they're really happy with the results, and it makes it to where, why would you ever quit this job? Like, there's no retirement. I don't believe you retire in healthcare until you just physically can't help someone anymore.
So it's like throwing a stone in a pond. The ripples just continue going out farther and farther, and you may not even see them at a certain point, but they're still traversing out. So
it's fantastic. There's patients that have come in and said, oh, I think your dad or grandpa treated my grandpa. I'm like, no, that was me. And they're like, no, I'm 25, and I'm like, no, 28 years ago, that was me treating your grandpa. And what's great is some of those patients have chosen healthcare fields. Which is awesome. Nursing, nurse practitioners, medical physicians. I think I've had 15 or 20 patients become medical physicians, countless nurses. It's amazing. Educators as well, but and part of any sort of doctoring in the healthcare field, you are educating. So it's just great to see all the little babies grow up.
Absolutely. Let me tie these 2 words in because we're an IB school, so we have 10 words that outline our learner profile. You're an inquirer because when you come into a room, you ask somebody, okay, what hurts? What do you feel? And then you're also knowledgeable. You're applying that knowledge. So you're saying, okay, you know what? This part of your body hurts, and I know that this actually correlates with it, and this is how we align and do that. So I think you're already you're taking a lot of the traits that we try to instill in our students, and you're applying it to your profession, which I think is pretty awesome.
That's great.
So let me hit you with this last question. If you could give advice to your middle school self, what advice would you give?
So I'd split it into 2 responses. One is a stolen parable I heard a long time ago, probably when I was in high school. And it was about this person who said, hey, somebody came to them in a dream and said, hey, you're in the desert. I want you to pick up a bunch of pebbles. And tomorrow you're going to be happy, but then you'll also be sad. So the person picked up the pebbles, put them in his pocket, and the next day he woke up and reached in his pocket, pulled them out, and they all turned to gold, silver, rubies, diamonds. And they were happy. They had picked up some, but sad they hadn't picked up much more. And so it is with education. Mm-hmm. So I tell myself, hey, if you're going to enter certain fields, you want to get as much education as you can. Mm-hmm. There's some fields that don't require as much, but then personally you'd want to do your own education to be great in the field of what you're doing, even if it doesn't appear to be like an academic field that requires many, many, many years of school. And then the non-educational advice I would give myself, if I could go back, would be look around the room, look around your school, and everybody that is in that room with you, you may or may not have a relationship with, but someone in that room is likely going to marry someone that you know 20 years from now or 30 years from now, mm-hmm. or 50 years from now. Some of those people in that room right, are going to be your coworkers. Some will move to other states and other countries, and like I said, some will be married to you and some will die. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to look around, consider that, and then build a relationship based on it. I've had many scenarios where, I've got a friend from 5th grade. We weren't even that close, we just get along, and haven't lived in the same cities, haven't done anything, and now I'm in a totally different part of Southern California, and they live 8 doors down. Yep. Yeah. And I look back at, my high school years, and, there's probably 5 of my friends that aren't alive anymore from mm-hmm. various circumstances. And none of that we expected. Okay? Yeah. People live to like 50 or 60 at least before they die. So yeah, that's what I would tell myself. Say, look around, appreciate who's there, and be nice to everybody. Yeah. And be cool to everybody. And appreciate the moments you have. Oh, for sure. The opportunities, the moments, every second is a gift. So yes, that's probably the best advice I think I've ever heard. That's not only advice for your middle school self. I'm going to live with that advice as well. So thank you so much for being on the show today. I truly appreciate you taking the time. I know you're such a busy guy, and we're going to value what you have to say. So excellent. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys for the next episode of 6 Feet Together here soon. Have a good one.